Today I'm going to be restarting all my videos again, and the goal is to be a lot more concise than I have been in the past. So I've set myself a challenge of selling each bot tipster in less than 1 minute. So let's see how that goes. The whole video with 9 bet bots should equal less than 10 minutes. So we're gonna see if I can keep to that. In terms of selling myself, I just feel really good about where I'm going now with my tipping and what to expect for next year. Focusing on ATP only is just giving me so much more depth and time into one code. There's less sort of randomness in ATP compared to WTA. So I'm just very confident that the results from the last 3 months, where the ROI has been around 13% and we've got sort of 30 points plus profit, I reckon I can continue that into the new year, and I genuinely believe I'll make 100 points plus. So I think, if considering it's high limit markets and easy to bet the odds, surely you can bet that. Okay, next service, Bonz. Well, Bonz service sells itself. Like, it's ridiculous, the level of profitability. It's averaging, getting already up to over 200 points in a year, in 11 months, 20 points of profit a month. It's if you've got a Bet365 account and you've got the ability to follow bets regularly, get onto the live bets, and it's great. It's decent volume, it's decent odds ranges as well, pretty balanced so that it's not too high and the strike rate's very high. The percentage of profitable months he's at 35 out of 36. For me, like, if you have a Bet365 account, it's an absolute no-brainer. So yeah, that's Bonz. Next one, AAABettor. So for me, it's just fun because it's Premier League. You can watch it with your mates on a Saturday and enjoy the Premier League whilst having a bet and knowing that it's profitable. Long term, generally, the fact is that it's good for your accounts, like whether you're betting on the exchange or at bookies, because the limits are great. Bookies aren't going to mind you betting on the Premier League, so it's going to actually preserve accounts. So I think for me, it's like a great service, and the fact is he's got certain angles that have been very profitable. So when you look at his home wins and between sort of prices of 3 to 6, they're really making a very high ROI. Matches like Liverpool versus Man United at home last year, it was a great win, and has been a bit unlucky in that market as well. Like Brentford 2-0 up, went to 2-2 against Spurs. So yeah, like, clearly knows his stuff and worth following for all the reasons above. Next tipster is Portugal Bets. So I think Portugal Bets, is 5 different divisions for Portuguese football. It's very profitable it's been profitable in the lower leagues with an ROI of close like to 10%. The season's just going to be starting to pick up now. There wasn't much football that his models picked up for the first 8 weeks of the season. So, expecting things to kind of increase volume wise. I just think when you look at his odds ranges as well, it's likely to be solid, lower variance option. And, I think the sort of historical data as well backs up the fact he's a very profitable bettor over many seasons. So yeah, that's Portugal Bets. Outside rides. Okay, well, I really have a good feeling about outside rides going into next year now. I think, I'm in very regular contact with this tipster, so I really understand how he works and how his whole process operates. I think in the early parts of the summer, he was kind of tweaking and figuring out how best to use his system, which jockeys to use, like what kind of metrics he would use to rule out certain bets. And because it is based on back testing, it has been one of those that I think you do have to make tweaks, but once those tweaks have been made, the kind of model itself, or the way it's the system is very likely to make good profits long term, and it's starting to pay fruition. Last 3 months, like, he's been 28 points in the last couple of months, and it really feels like a service on the up, in my opinion. So I really recommend following, especially if you've got BSP. Next service is Leo, and I am excited to have Leo on long term, because as I was saying, it's 12 out of 12 profitable months on BloggerBet on pretty high limit markets in basketball. He's tipping leagues like the ACB, the Euro League, so they're decent leagues. So you can get good limits on, and just the level of consistency. And we've discussed it in the group chat, but I think following basketball tips is pretty fun. Like, the matches are very swingy. Like, it's a little bit of a thrill watching the scores on flash. But yeah, he's very much, he's told me he's been a professional bettor for over 20 years, and clearly knows his stuff, and is dealing with running a premium service very well. So yeah, I would recommend Leo. Flop shop golf bets, I mean, what a start he's had on the bot. Even on the trials, I felt he was getting very unlucky. He had, I think it was 4 seconds in the trial period, and he's finally been able to get over the line with a winner in the second week on the bot, which is timing that, you know, is all right really to get the timing on the bot service. But yeah, he's constantly there and thereabouts of his selections. A number for the first week where they didn't quite get in the top 5, but there were 2 that were between 6th and 8th. I'm just impressed with the shape of the bets, like how often they're getting close. So, and the ROI now is 34%. I really think he's so passionate about the golf, and you know, that is a big thing for me when following a tipster. He really does know his stuff. So yeah, flop shop golfs, would recommend. Next one, Filipi Football. I really think Filipi has very strong technical knowledge of like models and football, and understands how to put that into context. Just the fact he's profitable across 3 big leagues at pinnacle odds, all on the biggest markets, is very impressive. I think the Eredivisie, where he's at his strongest value wise, and you know, there aren't too many followers, so I do think like we're gonna try and optimize it so it's a little bit easier to get the odds if you need them. But I really think it's a low variance, high profitability, a great addition to the portfolio in my opinion, because you know, it's very easy to follow, and it's likely to have a high ROI. And the final service to cover is JP Draws, and JP is actually Jean-Philippe. He's actually a friend of mine. I'd consider these days. He's actually someone I talk to a lot about tennis betting, and I really respect his knowledge as a bettor. Like, me and him often are in sync with tennis now, and I know that's not really related to draws, but I just know intuitively that he understands betting through just talking to him. He understands value, and it's not a surprise that, you know, when he told me he's working on draw systems and getting it to work, that he would make a success of it. So when you look at it, the stats are great, right? Very solid across all the draws, and that price range, and it's just an easy service to follow. You know exactly what the bet's going to be, you know the limits. So personally, I think it's a pretty cheap service, £5, and average credit one point. I really would strongly recommend it, and JP's a great guy as well. So yeah, there you go. I have managed to just about wrap this up in 10 minutes, and I hope you enjoyed the little preview of all the bot services we have.